At Braves Fest over the weekend, Travis d'Arnaud was asked a question: who does he hate playing the most? Who are you most angry playing against? And his answer was the New York Mets. Now, I got to ask you, Alex, because I have, I have opinions, very strong opinions on this, who I believe the Braves' biggest rival to be right now. But who do you believe it to be right now?
Not the Mets. I mean, not the Mets at all. I mean, the Mets aren't on the Braves level. The Mets and Braves, have a history. And obviously, there's a lot of history there. And Travis d'Arnaud particularly has history. He was with the Mets at one point. He has a ring with the Braves. Obviously, you know where his preference lies. Everybody's preference. Nobody wants to play for the Mets over the Braves. But the fact of the matter is other than 2 years ago, the Mets have been an absolute dumpster fire since the Braves got out of that rebuild. So no, I don't think the Mets are our biggest rival because they're not on our level. And it's very clear our biggest rival. It's the Phillies, most recently. And if you want to go a little bit further back, it's the Dodgers. It's the Phillies and the Dodgers. And it shouldn't even be an argument, especially with Freddie Freeman going to the Dodgers and the Phillies knocking the Braves out the past two postseasons. The Mets are an afterthought. They're an afterthought. I don't give them the time of day.
Yeah. They're like little brother. I mean, I call them that.
Yeah.
It's been big brother beating up on little brother. And this is not just something new. I mean, since 1988, the New York Mets have won 2 division titles. Two. That's 1 and 2. They haven't won a World Series since 1986. The Braves over that stretch have obviously won 2 World Series, and they've won, I think, 24 division titles. I mean, so I understand why there's animosity from the Mets towards the Braves. Hell, I understand why there's animosity towards the entire NL East towards the Braves, because let's not beat around the bush here. The Braves have owned every single team. Now, the last 2 years, the Phillies have obviously beaten the Braves in the playoffs, and that's where I think rivalries actually start to begin, because it needs to be a two-way street to be considered a rivalry. If we're just beating the hell out of you, you're not a real rival. You're just an annoying little pest, and that's what the New York Mets are. They're a bunch of pests, and they try to make the games a little chippy. They play this quirky brand of baseball that's annoying. They don't like to strike out, but they also don't homers. They don't put any emphasis. Everything about the Mets is just so unattractive to me from an aesthetic point of view. At least the Phillies, as much as I hate, how much I hate Philadelphia fans. I mean, I absolutely hate them. So as far as a rivalry between fans, it's Philadelphia by a mile for me, and that's in every sport. I hope they lose, and I hope they lose and cry at the end of games. Like, I want to see them looking like Buffalo Bills fans at the end of games. That's how much I hate the city of Philadelphia and their fans. But there seems to be mutual respect between the Phillies and Braves every time they go in between those lines, because one, there's actually like cool, respectable players on the Phillies. Like, Bryce Harper is cool. Like, you will have a conversation with Bryce Harper at first base because you're like, dude, you're dope at this game. There's not a single person on the Mets that I'm like, dang, that guy is really cool. No, they're all just annoying bunch of chumps. They're literally little brother syndrome to a T. So I understand why, as far as who pisses you off to play the most, it is the Mets, because there's no respect there. There's no respect there. It's like, dude, you're annoying. You're going to be out of the league in 5 years, buddy. Shut up.
The 1 year, a few years ago, when the Braves clawed all the way back and ended up winning the NL East in the second to last series. It was the final series against the Mets. They had to sweep. Me and Chase went to all of those games, had some incredible seats. They were incredible moments. That's the closest this thing has been to a rivalry in a very long time. And then the Mets completely fell off the face of the earth. Completely. I mean, that just shows you the differences between these two organizations.
Like that was an awesome race. That was an awesome race to the entire. And I do believe the Mets are on the rise, because I do believe in Steve Cohen.
Well, that's the only thing on the rise, is they just have endless money to spend. Like, they're not running their organization the right way. And they did get a new head man. So I will hold my breath on that. I forgot who got ousted. But the fact is they were not running that organization properly. They were basically just like, who's going to take the most money? Come here.
I do think it's inevitable that they will be good and be good for a long time if they continue going down the path that they're going, which I think they are. You know, they ate a lot of that cash to get some prospects. Obviously, we know Luis Angel, Acuna's little brother. We'll see how those prospects pan out. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into those guys having successful careers, and the development of those players is critical. The Braves have shown time and time again they can draft and develop player at a much higher clip than any team in baseball really can do, outside of maybe the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Mets haven't been able to do it. They have these guys that are top 10, top 15 prospects that are hyped up all the way till they get to the majors, and then they fall on their face.
Yeah, the fact is, it's the only way to have sustainable success in any sport, basketball, baseball, football, is you have to draft and develop your young talent and hopefully keep some of that young talent. That is the only way to have sustained success in any league, and the Mets haven't done it. They have stars. They have Francisco Alvarez. They have Pete Alonso, Alvarez, Lindor. They've got stars. The fact is like the Beatties of the world haven't exactly panned out. That is how you have sustained success. You don't throw $300 million at two 40-year-old starters. That's not what you do.
All I said is if you gave me $300 million, you gave me the Mets payroll, I would have a 10 times better product on the field than the Mets have put on the field. I mean, it's really not that hard, but I mean, the way that they spent their money is what was so embarrassing. You said it, the two 40-year-old pitchers, and the fact that they totally ignored the offensive side of baseball. It's like, dude, do you not realize hitting bombs and stuff like that is necessary to win games? And there's not a guy that strikes fear into you in that lineup outside of Pete Alonso. And they're talking about trading Pete Alonso. It's like, you're going to trade the only guy in that entire lineup that actually scares you, like just a little bit, that can change the game with one swing of the bat. It blows my mind. So I don't know what direction they're going in. I do think they'll figure it out because they're willing to throw money and everything. Yeah. And eventually you have to figure it out, right? Like if you keep throwing $300 million at this thing, eventually you have to figure it out. But I'm with you. Phillies, Dodgers, far and away, much bigger matchups, much bigger rivalries than the New York Mets. Coming up after the break, the Falcons have a new defensive coordinator.